Now, we on? All right.
There we go.
I didn't know if he meant 55 or 55.
Right. 55. Sheriff, how are you?
I'm good. You would think as long as we've been doing this, we would have a little bit of a routine on how we start. You know, we would do our introductions and
Nope.
play some cool music and have something, and then we just got chewed out a little while ago about how we end it. Because we're always right in the middle of something, and then the timer goes off, and we gotta cut out. So maybe we just need to start cutting out.
Yeah, I mean, we could just get up and walk out, but then Charlotte would, she'd probably be mad about that too.
Right on. So, Captain, say your disclaimer.
So,
let's get that out of the way.
Yes, I am a employee of the city of Lawrenceburg, but today I'm talking as myself, and the opinions and views that I share today and other times are the opinions and views of my own. In no way, shape, or form are they to reflect the opinions and views of the city of Lawrenceburg or the Lawrenceburg Police Department.
I love it. You've done a great job. I appreciate all your hard work.
Well, I practice in the mirror.
You still a captain at the police department?
Unless you know something I don't.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I'm still sheriff, so.
As of right now, I'm still a captain.
I'm still sheriff, unless you know something I don't know. I mean, if you look at, so I was gone all last week to our. We have two conferences with the Sheriff's Association. So let me back up. Let me talk a little bit about the Sheriff's Association before we get kicked off. I know some of the people that are watching this get the mail outs to become a member of the Sheriff's Association. That's part of what the Sheriff's Association does. They send out these. They like carpet bomb the whole state with these letters where you can become a member and donate money to the Sheriff's Association
and get a sticker.
You get a sticker, and that's what I tell people. Because I'll get a call from somebody and they'll say, I've got something in the mail, and I just need to know if it's legit. And it's from the Sheriff's Association. I said, does it have a sticker in there? And they say, yeah. And I said, it's legit. That's us. But what that money does is if you donate money, it goes towards the whole association. I don't know exactly what it offsets because we got to pay dues every year, just like the Chiefs Association and all the other associations across the country. But we pay our dues, and then they provide us with all the mandatory training that we have to have, like every other certified law enforcement officer has to have. And we get that. We meet. We have a winter conference and a summer conference that we go to. One's in February and one's in July that I was just at. And then the other one, then we have little like micro meetings, which will be like a 3-day or 2 or 3 day thing in Franklin. And they'll include all of our mandated training that we have to have, and then some of the other stuff. You know, we got to have 40 hours like everybody else. That includes our defensive driving and our firearms. And anyway, we get all that through them. So it saves us a little bit of that way we don't have to go through our what do they call it, the GDI at the department. They do it all through the Sheriff's Association. But anyway, the summer conference is held at Wilderness and the Smokies in Pigeon Forge.
Did you take your bathing suit?
I always do.
Really? Did you go down the big slide?
I take swimming trunks. I don't own a bathing suit, but I got trunks.
You passed. That was a trick question.
Yeah, we float the lazy river. Okay, hey man, when it's July in Pigeon Forge, we have an annual golf scramble. The sheriffs and chiefs and a few of the vendors and stuff will have a golf scramble on Monday when we first get there. And then, like every other conference, you know, you stay up too late and you eat too much, and then when you come back, you're not worth killing.
Right.
And that held true this time especially. Well, the first time that we went to the summer conference, I left. Me and my chief deputy George Barturin left, and we talked with the rest of the command staff before we left, and we said, "Hey, y'all got it. While we're gone, you got the helm, you know. If you need us for something important, for sure call us, but we'll be over here. Y'all can handle it."
If it's not important, leave
Day two, I get a call from my captain, and the first words out of his mouth is, "Are you sitting down?" Like, oh no. I won't go into detail what it was, but it was some really bad news. But anyway, that was the first year. And then, so this year it went off without incident, but we had a crazy week in this county
We
this
did.
past week. And maybe crazy ain't the best word, but it was, it was something. It was busy. We had, I think most people know that we had a shooting. We had another guy shoot another guy over, and I can't disclose hardly anything about it because
Can't give me anything?
it's still current. No,
Okay,
no,
it's
it's
still
still
pending.
it's
Okay.
still current. We're not done. When I talked to one of my investigators yesterday, there was some more people that they needed to talk to
Okay.
before they case close it and hand it all over to the DA's office. But
Has there been an arrest made?
yes, there was an
Okay.
arrest. There was an arrest made that day, and I can tell you it was possibly over a business transaction that didn't go that went off the rails, and that's the
Somebody
reason.
wasn't happy.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great way of putting it.
It happened.
But anyway, and it didn't happen at Self's Market. There was I think there was some stuff on social media.
So that's what everybody was saying.
Yeah, no, it did not happen at Self's Market. But Self's Market was used as a reference point because it happened at a residence, I think maybe a mile from Self's Market. But anyway, we fixed that and we've corrected that. So we had that. That was I don't remember. That was early into the week when we was over there. We had a suicide. There was an individual found in his backyard that had committed suicide. We also had a guy. You know, I don't know what it's meant about this year, as far as tragic accidents, tragic deaths.
A bunch of them.
I know people probably watch this and say, I mean, it sounds like the same episode every time because we're talking about this. But we had another one. We had a guy that was mowing his grass and on a zero turn, and he rolled it. He was mowing an embankment. He rolled it over, and it killed him.
Oh my goodness! I didn't even hear about this.
Yeah, that was over the same week too. So we had those three. We come back Friday, and I'm in the middle of getting updates about what happened and how we handled it. And I hear a call go out over the radio of another suicide, self-inflicted gunshot wound. A guy that was living in a camper. I think it was over off Campbellsville Road. So. I told somebody the other day, I said, I think the planets are out of alignment or something. It seems like this year has been and since I've been in office, and I've been in office since I'm almost at 7 years. I can't remember a year where we've had more tragic deaths than this year.
Absolutely.
And we're in July. We still got what, 5 or 6 months?
5 more months to go.
Yeah. So I remember in January, I lost my mother and a good close friend of mine and some other people.
And some pretty well-to-do people in the community as well.
Yeah, and I was thinking, maybe it's just the beginning of the year, it'll calm down, but
no,
it hasn't.
It hasn't. We had one juvenile death, another juvenile death, car wrecks and so on and so forth. I'm like you. I don't know the 20 years, whatever, that I've been doing this. I don't know if I remember a year just right out the gate, just too much tragedy. And especially with these suicides.
Well, it'll make you think. It'll make you think about a lot of things. Life's short. I mean,
and when you start thinking about stuff like that, and I'm no suicide expert, but what I do know is we have resources out there. We have programs out there. If you or somebody finds yourself or somebody that in a situation where they're thinking about that type of stuff, there's other options. There are the state of Tennessee, a lot of people don't know this. The state of Tennessee right now is throwing money left and right at these resources for people who are debating suicide. And nobody likes to say that word, just like nobody likes to say the word cancer. But if there's something going on, help is just a phone call away.
Yeah.
And
You're right. There's more resources out there now than there's ever been. If you're having some problems, call somebody, tell somebody. Just don't sit and let it soak.
I mean,
That's the absolute worst thing you can do.
Exactly. And if you don't know, if you're like, well, I don't know the suicide hotline number, call 911.
Yeah.
Call 911. I'm having a bad day. I've had some bad thoughts. I need some help. We'll come running.
So we had a call. This was also last week because the shift supervisor called me about it. This elderly woman in her 90s, in a wheelchair, had a pistol.
Oh, mercy.
And she was headed somewhere in her wheelchair to commit suicide. And we get there and disarm her, and wind up taking her to the hospital where she could get in touch with crisis, where they could come and talk to her and get her some help. And she wasn't having it. She was not having it. She was very combative. 90 something years old, you know.
How many evidence did she whip?
Well, I wasn't there.
Okay, all right. So it's still undetermined. You were told none, but as of right now, it's undetermined.
Right. But it's I don't know. Summertime always. Summertime and the holidays, you always see people struggling with issues. But I mean, you can look at the calls, the stats. I just put the stats out yesterday, I guess it was, and had almost 20 mental transports.
Mm-hmm.
And that fluctuates every month, but we average right around 20. It seems like sometimes it's 10 or 12. Sometimes I've seen as many as 30 something mental transports. And you can make the argument that it's one thing or the other, but I don't know, man. People are having some hard times, it seems like. And I could never be a psychiatrist. I could never be one of those people that sits down with you and says, "Tell me your feelings."
Well, because your patient would probably be like, "This guy's got more issues than I have."
No. Yeah, they'll be saying I need therapy before the end of the session. You're right. No, but I'm a tough love guy. I'm not one of those kind to say, tell me about your feelings. I'm more of one, suck it up. Life's tough sometimes. Lift your chin up and bear with it. I gave that speech to my kids at a young age. I said, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to think life's terrible. And I said, but that's life. It ain't always hugs and kisses. Some days it's going to be a kick in the gut.
Absolutely.
And you just kind of, you gotta roll with it.
Speaking of tough love, it's young Mr. Grooms has just turned 6 not that long ago, and me and his mother, who is a fantastic mother, by the way, and one of the things I like about her the most is she's my check man. She puts me in check sometimes whenever it comes to rearing our children how they should be. And he's of the age where he's just starting to test and push limits a little bit. And of course, why not? He hears what his other little 6-year-old buddies at school's doing. So I was telling her the other day that sometimes spanking and putting in the corner, one or the other, sometimes both, man, that's just getting old. Well, she pulled up the psychiatrist online who encouraged as push-ups as a reinforcement avenue. And let me tell you something. We've tried it. And the first time he looked at me when I was like, son, I need you to get down and give me 10 push-ups. He just kind of looked at me like he didn't hear what I said at first. But he's done it. And there's been no back talk. There's been no whining. And after he gets through, doing his push-ups, I'll be like, all right, now go in there and tell your mama you love her and you're sorry for talking to her like that. And he'll be like, yes, sir. And he goes right along.
You know what's going to happen? You know what's going to start happening?
He's probably going to become more physically fit than his daddy.
I mean, that wouldn't take much, but I'm saying, I'm saying what he's going to start doing is he's going to get in trouble intentionally. so he can start doing push-ups because he's going to start enjoying them. I remember when I was on Paris Island, we were all in fear every day. You know, we all thought we was going to die every day when we first got there because we were still in shock from everything. And I remember in the Marines, they had the quarter deck up at the front. Mm-hmm. So when you got in trouble, they put you on the quarter deck, and you had to do whatever, push-ups, 8-count bodybuilders, whatever, you know. And but you were definitely afraid of having to go to the quarter deck because it was very traumatic. On top of it was hard because they would exercise you until you thought your heart was going to explode. And I remember me and this other guy that was in down the line with me. We were goofing off when we were getting ready for an inspection or something, and we got in trouble. And I remember the drill instructor said, "Get up there and do 8-count bodybuilders until I get tired." So we got up there and we started doing them.
Did he ever get tired?
Not for a long time. And when I got done, I mean, I thought I was going to die. But then you start seeing the results, the physical results of doing that. So then we started getting in trouble on purpose because we knew it wasn't going to kill us. And we knew that we was going to get a good workout in. And so that's what your son's going to do. He's going to walk by the mirror one day and he's going to be all swelled up and he's going to say, "Them push-ups are paying off." And he's going to go,
listening to Dad.
He's going to go kick you in the shin just to get in trouble.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. A lot of people, especially a lot of young people, they think that life here is so hard. And don't get me wrong, there are some young people that go through some pretty rough times and tragedies do happen, but I mean, just turn on your TV and look at the way we have it compared to everywhere else.
I was complaining about what was going on here in Lawrence County, and then the last night I was sitting in a sitting area outside of the hospitality room, and the two sheriffs, the Lake County Sheriff and the Dyer County Sheriff, were both on their phones. And this is over the quadruple murder that they caught today. They got him.
Oh, they got him.
They got him in custody.
Awesome.
I guess it was without incident. But they were dealing with the family members of the victims and trying to put their theories together and figure out why and where he was at. And so they was having a hard time, and I was thinking, well, that ain't so bad what's going on in Lawrence County,
right?
You know.
So what the and just squirrel motive? Did you hear about any clear motive?
You know, I'm not sure what
they're the quadruple homicide.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure what they're reporting, but I think it was drug related, and that's really all I know. That they're to hear, and I don't want to say too much because I don't really remember exactly all the details what the sheriff was talking about. But it's a crazy. If their theory is right, there'll be a movie about it.
Really,
I feel there'll be a documentary or something about it. If what they were saying is the reason why he did what he did and everything, it's documentary ready.
See, I'm just sitting across the table from you, but to all our listeners out there, you know, to be told if what I know is what happened, that may be a movie. I mean, that's crazy.
That was real early, and I mean, it was real. I mean, this was just hours after it happened. So I don't know if what they're thinking is correct, but they seemed pretty. They seemed pretty sure that. It's crazy. It'll be something if it comes out. 1,120 calls. I think we put that out yesterday on our monthly statistics. And when we do this, and I've thought about maybe tweaking this report just a little bit, but it's just a real quick breakdown of what we do in a month's time. Just so the people in the county kind of have an idea of just how busy we are. Now, some months we're busier than others. These numbers are, I mean, you can almost guarantee that the more calls you have, the less traffic stops you have.
Yes.
When you have less traffic or less calls than you have traffic, and that means that the deputies aren't running all over the county answering calls and serving papers. They've actually got time to get out there and work some traffic and try to catch some to do what I call crime prevention techniques. Try to catch crime in transit. On a traffic stop. But the 86 traffic stops, I remember looking at that and I'm like, well, that's down. And then I'm like, well, call volumes a little bit more. And you look at the
So while you're looking at that, I need to ask you. So how is the whole animal call situation? This is something that we haven't talked about for a while.
well, we got an animal control deputy.
That's my understanding. That's why I'm bringing this up. So how is that working? Because I know what I hear. So I'd like to know what you think.
Well, it's early.
Yes, it is.
And with anything, this is the first time we've ever had
Right.
an animal control deputy assigned to do nothing but answer animal calls. So this deputy answers every animal call. Doesn't matter if it's a snake in your rose garden, if it's a coon in your garbage, if it's a cow in the road, if it's a animal cruelty or animal neglect or allowing animals to roam free. If it goes through dispatch and it's an animal call, this guy goes to it. If he's on duty, and he's on duty 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. And
Monday through Friday.
Yeah, Monday through Friday. Right now.
8 to 4.
We're working on a few things. We're getting him equipped right now. We're getting a policy in place. And
Certified officer.
No.
Okay.
No. We're going to try not to. We're going to try to get away with just now. He's a certified officer, but he's not commissioned. He's not a commissioned deputy.
Okay.
So we hired him out of the jail. He was part of the jail staff. So I mean, he's a uniformed deputy. He's got less lethal, and he's got handcuff. I mean, he can detain somebody if he needs to. So he's got powers and abilities a lot like a full-time commissioned deputy sheriff, but he's limited on some stuff.
Gotcha.
But when we went through the budget and it got approved, that was part of it. I think most people know by now that we kind of traded places with the city police department up until the July 1st. The city and the county split the funding for the animal shelter 50-50. Mm-hmm. But the city had all the operational and administrative control over the shelter.
What is it like now?
So we just switch roles. Now we have operational and administrative control over the shelter, and we still split the funding 50-50 because we have City of Lawrenceburg animals in there, just like we have out in the county animals there. So there's been a few bumps in the road getting everything, because we didn't know if it was going to pass. We didn't know if all of it was going to fall into place until it did. Mm-hmm. And so we got this guy hired, and we've got him some equipment, and we've got his duties and responsibilities pretty much laid out, but it's still a work in progress.
What type of vehicle does he drive?
Got a pickup.
Pickup, good. Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want, you don't want him to be in a vehicle that people make fun of him.
Like like the van on Dumb and Dumber,
or a van that you talked about with a certain trooper
with the big ears. Well, we're thinking that we may be able to get a grant to cover a vehicle and some of the other stuff. So I mean, it's a good thing, and I know the deputies are certainly relieved that they're
absolutely.
not, because you might be sitting out there waiting on a suspected child molester to come by that we've got a warrant on, mm-hmm. and dispatch give you a call that there's
an aggressive dog.
A neighbor's dog has killed their cat, and he's got to leave that. And I'm not saying that that's not important. I'm just saying we've got a guy that's going to be handling all that, and so it's going to work. I'm going to make sure it works. It's a good deal, and he's working with the shelter too. The shelter is busting at the seams.
As always.
I mean, busting at the seams. I got a text from the woman that is running the shelter, and I'll read it to you. She sent this to me, and I forget who else was tagged in it.
I don't know roughly how many animals do they generally have over there? Ain't it like 90 something?
Well, they've got their capacity, their comfortable capacity, I think, is 80 something. And I'm sorry, it's I've got to scroll through a million
No,
messages
while
to
you're
find
looking
it.
for that, I'll go on. I can't tell you. I'm so glad that y'all have got a county animal officer now. That and you said it best. Not that it's not important, because it is. You know, if grandma's cat gets killed by, the next door neighbor's dog, that's grandma's cat and she's devastated. But with that being said, um, sometimes priority, especially in what we do when we're on duty on patrol, depends on what dispatch tells us to do. And like you said, we could be sitting on the side of the road looking for a drug dealer to come by, or like you said, a pedophile, or something else that we're hoping to get into that's not official yet, but we know we got this call pending. And grandma is probably sitting on her front porch holding a dead cat, just bawling her eyes out, waiting on us to get there. That's kind of hard to struggle sometimes. But when you've got a designated officer that is out here answering these calls to relieve patrol, to go out and really just go after the evil in the world, it's kind of small, but at the same time it's kind of big, if that makes sense. I know I went around the world to get there, but I mean that's been it. So you were the first sheriff that has ever had an animal control officer.
As far back as I can remember.
That's you.
And I can go back to the late 80s, early 90s. So the message that she sent, she said our current population is 140 dogs.
Oh my God.
We cannot take any more dogs, period. We are telling people that if they have strays, to hold them for at least a week or two. We are currently operating at 100% over capacity. So they're busting at the seams, like I said. I got to tell you this story though. This guy that I hired to be the animal control deputy, I've known him for a long time. He's a good dude. And he's perfect for it. He's perfect for it. That's what I'll say. And so we needed to get him some equipment because he didn't have anything. I mean, as far as his PPE, I mean, he had that, but he didn't have what he needed for his job, a catch pole, right? So we're sitting in the office, and what I'm doing is I'm finding these things on Amazon. You can find anything you need on Amazon. So I'm finding these things on Amazon, and I'm taking a picture of them with my phone, so I can send it to our financial administrator, and she can look at it and get a PO and all this stuff, so we can make the purchase. And so I'm looking at these catch poles, and they make them from like, I don't know, 3 foot long to 10 foot long.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm looking at him. I said, "So what are you thinking? You thinking this one, or 3 foot? And are you thinking?" So he says, "No." He said, "I want the longest one." he said, "You think I want a short one where I got to get close to one of them?" so
That's a good point.
So yeah, that, and then we got him some of the gloves that come up to your elbows, the real heavy duty, for catching coons and possums and
kind of like bite sleeves for dual purpose.
Yeah. So we're looking at those, and I'm saying, "You want these cheap ones or you want these more expensive ones?" He said, "I want the thickest ones you can buy." So and then I'm looking through there, and I said, "What about snakes?" I said, "You afraid of snakes?" And he said, "Well, you never said anything about snakes." And I said, "It's an animal, right? I mean, if you get a snake call, you're going to have to handle it." He said, "I got to go to a snake call?" I said, "Yeah, if you get a snake call, you got to go to, I mean, I'm not going to send a deputy out there to handle a snake call if you get a snake call." I said, "So let's look at them snake tongs." He said, "Well, I can tell you right now, I'm going to want the longest one."
I'm surprised he wouldn't be like, "Okay, you mentioned snakes, I'm mentioning guns." I'm not scared of snakes, but, it's just like we bought a farm. And not long after we bought it, my wife kills a rattlesnake down there. And then my father-in-law, he kills a couple copperheads. And I get to talk to my daddy. He said, when I was a teenager, I coon hunted all over down there. He said, I'm telling you, I've been all over this county. That's probably the copperhead and rattlesnake capital of Lawrence County.
Where's this?
And out on the Wayne County line. And again, I'm not scared of snakes. I'm not one of them guys that can see a snake 20 feet away and then take off running. But if you said, hey, Blake, here's a pair of snake tongs, go in this lady's back bedroom and she thinks there's a rattlesnake in the closet, I'm probably going to start convulsing and then take sick leave and then go home. I ain't going to do it. I'm sorry. I'll shoot it. I'll go back there with a shotgun.
I'm not as bad as you. I mean, I'm not afraid of a snake as long as I can see it and as long as it's not coming at me.
That's me. I'll hold a python.
I'll take some snake tongs and I'll go over there and I'll take a stick and pin its head down. I'll put it in a pillowcase. I'll do all that. But I'm not one of those guys that will walk up and say, "Oh, well, that's a such and such snake. They don't hurt you." And you walk over there and you put your foot on it and you pick it up and it's curling up around your ankle and you look. I can't. No,
I can do that. A green snake, a python. You know these pet pythons people keep in their house and stuff. I can hold it all day long. You know, loved little green snakes when I was little. Still do. I think they're great. They're they feel cool. Like you said, they wrap around your arm. But if I know it's poisonous, and there's a chance that I might die, no. What's the point?
Well, anyway, this guy's outfitted. so if you have a call of a coon in your garage or
an infestation of skunks underneath your house,
yeah, we got the man. We got him, man. He's going to some training, I think in next month or maybe October.
Please tells me it's like somewhere tropical that this training, because much bulls this guy's probably going to have to go through.
There's an association for everything. So there's actually an Animal Control Officer Association.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and they provide training. And so this guy, when he comes back, he'll be good to go. He'll know how to handle everything from a bat in your kitchen to an aggressive dog to
alligator in Shoal Creek.
Shetland pony that's gotten out there and ate your rose bushes. He can do it all. He can do it all. Something else I noticed on our report. Like I said, the suicide. We knew the suicides was up. There was 6 reported suicide attempts across the county. And the animal calls is always going to be there, but the suspicious activity, where we get those numbers. There was 36 calls related to suspicious activity. And where we get those numbers is any call that comes in as a prowler or any call that comes in. So it includes vehicles. It includes people. It includes anything that a caller would call in and say it looks suspicious. That's where that call comes in. That's where we get that number from. And that happens a lot. And those calls, you know as well as I do, especially when you work night shift, they have the potential. I don't want to say they have the potential to be dangerous, but which they all have the potential to be dangerous. But if little old elderly woman that lives in the outskirts or lives out in the county somewhere by herself, and I mean my mama lived by herself for years before she passed away. And if you can imagine your mama or your aunt or your grandma or somebody being in fear to the point to where they call dispatch and say, there's a car that just pulled in down here in front of the house and they're taking the lights out and I heard the car doors. I mean, that might not, that's going to be dispatched as a suspicious person or suspicious activity call. That may or may not be something that we run emergency lights and sirens to, just depending on how dispatch gives it to us.
Right.
But that's an important call, and that has the potential to be something bigger than what it is. So when you see an officer that might not be running blue lights and sirens, and I always use that example, if you see an officer or deputy or an officer running fast, that it may not be a call that warrants lights and sirens. It may have been dispatched as something that may be non-emergency. But at the same time, we're thinking, well, that's somebody's mother, that's somebody's grandmother, and the family members expect us to get there, pretty quick. So I use that example a lot. But that makes up for a bunch of our calls.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I think that's something that we need to elaborate on because, and rightfully so. When I say this, I can't tell you how many times I've heard a citizen out here say, I seen a car, come and talking about a police car, a patrol car, a unit. I seen a car just come busting through the neighborhood over here, and boy, he was just going fast and didn't have the first light or siren on. And my response to that is, well, it must have been something important because, and you know just as well as I do, for the most part, especially city patrol officers, we generally drive just a tad bit slower than traffic because when we're not on a call or we're not on a traffic stop, we're listening, to see if anything around us is not as it should be. Well, what I think a lot of people don't realize is, especially nowadays, we have a go by. We have policy and procedure that says what we can use emergency lights and sirens for and what we can't. And like you said, a suspicious activity, that's one thing that doesn't give us the authority to run lights and sirens. But if that police officer knows that, let's say on 4th Street, there's been 6 burglaries within the past month, and here it is 1 a.m. in the morning, and we get a suspicious activity on 4th Street, we're not cleared to run lights and sirens, but we know this might be something. So that officer is taking a chance of getting in trouble. He's taking a chance of getting rolled up, speeding in a patrol car, just so he can get over there and possibly catch, somebody breaking into somebody's garage or something. So what I'm getting at is, whenever somebody sees a cop going a little too fast, instead of just thinking that maybe he's just driving fast in a patrol car, maybe he's just trying to get somewhere because he knows something maybe going on, trying to take care of business.
But with that being said, if somebody sees one of my deputies driving way too fast and you follow him to the Quick Mart or the restaurant or whatever, by all means call me. And get.
Should I give your cell phone number out now?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Pretty much everybody in the world got it anyway. I don't know why it matters, but yeah, no. If somebody sees, and not just a deputy sheriff, but a city police officer, or a state trooper, or somebody, and they're running faster than what they should be, you got to get an identifying number off the vehicle.
Right.
I mean, we got to. That way we can go and we can see, were they on a call, were they headed to a call, were they trying to intercept somebody that we were looking for or something. That was there a legitimate reason why they were running fast.
Right.
But we have to get an identifying number off the vehicle, or you're just going to be complaining about nothing that I can do. I can't. If you get me an identifying number off of a vehicle, then we can look and see who that was and what time it was, and whether he was on a call or if he was going to a call or what he was doing, if it was emergency, and then we can handle it like that. But anyway, I don't know. I tell my guys that when they're running emergency lights and sirens, you still have to, by law, you still have to ask for the right of way.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to drive carefully. You still have to, doesn't give you I remember years and years ago, I was coming up Turnpike, and I was a law enforcement officer. I can't remember if I was still working in the jail or what.
Just mid-'80s?
90s.
90s. Okay, so you experienced law enforcement.
So I was coming up a road in town, and all of a sudden I see some lights approaching the intersection that I'm coming up to, and this deputy, I found out who it was. He's no longer alive. He died a few years ago. But he come through that intersection sideways. It looked like Roscoe from the Dukes of Hazzards when he come through that intersection. He come through there sideways and just left. I mean, he left a black mark, looked like 50 feet long when he come through there. And I had to get almost in the ditch to keep from him hitting me. And I remember thinking, what an idiot. I mean, if he'd have clipped me, I mean, he wouldn't even went to the call. He'd have never made it to the call. And that's what I try to tell a lot of the younger deputies. You know, you got to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get there safely. If you crash out, then what have you accomplished? You ain't accomplished anything.
Right. And then
except maybe getting.
And then that's just going to give the focus from that call to you, and and then whoever needs help on that call is just going to be
Sure.
the bottom end of the barrel. I've always wanted to do that, though. I've never been able to go. Maybe it's because I'm not driving that fast, but I've never been able to go sideways like Roscoe.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you the man that could drive. And if I tell you, you probably won't. You might not know him, and if you know him, you would never guess that son of a gun could drive.
Okay.
Doc Oliver.
Hey, I've heard stories about met him.
Ardmore.
And
Chief
Giles
of
County
Police.
Sheriff for years.
So,
Matter of fact, president of Sheriff's Association for years, if I'm not mistaken, like in the 70s.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I knew him. I knew him when we worked the interstate when I was assigned to the task force. But we was chasing this guy. This guy comes through the construction zone. I try to stop him, and he takes off. We go off the ramp at Highway 64, back on the ramp, headed south on Interstate 65. And I'm right tight to him, man. And then the other officer that was out there working with me, he's trying to catch up, but he's already way behind because we're flying. We're doing like 120 down the interstate. We had one of those new Ford Interceptor Crown Vics. You know how fast they ran on the top end, right?
I miss them.
So, and I'm radioing Giles County, letting Giles County know I'm in a pursuit and I'm southbound on the interstate. Well, we hit exit 6 at Elkton.
Right.
And then we hit 31,
Yep.
headed towards Ardmore. And dispatch over there has already radioed Ardmore. Mm-hmm. And Doc was 10-8. And if you remember that stretch between as you're leaving Elkton, it used to be an adult bookstore.
It's a church now.
It's a church now.
Yeah, I know.
So, and there's a straight stretch.
And for our listeners, I never went to that bookstore. I've just heard that it was an adult bookstore.
Well, yeah, there was a massage parlor right there off the interstate too.
So you didn't know about
They closed them both down at the same time.
Oh.
That might be a daycare now. I don't know. But anyway, so we passed that church, which was the adult bookstore then, and we're coming into that straight stretch. It's a long draw bottom. We're about halfway in that bottom, and I look, and here comes Doc around that curve in a Crown Vic. And I bet he come around that curve doing 120. I mean,
just getting it.
And he saw us about the same time I saw him because I was doing 100 and he was doing 100. And so when we met, I mean, it was like a flash. Well, I looked in my rearview mirror just long enough to see him stand on the brakes, the nose of that Crown Vic just eating up, just blue smoke, just pouring off the tires. And he whipped it around and then gassed it. And it was one of the coolest moves I ever seen. And he caught us before we got to exit 1.
Really?
He was right on my butt by the time we got to exit 1.
Did y'all catch him?
We did. He hit the exit down there at the Rocket, the exit right before the Rocket on 65 South, and then pulled in this old woman's driveway, crashed out in her yard. And I spun out on the off-ramp, and Doc and the other guy that was with me, Scott Wilson, got in there behind him, and then he crashed out in that woman's yard. And by the time I got there, they had him at gunpoint on the back porch, and we got him into custody. But he had escaped from a work release program in Williamson County and held this old man up and stole his truck and was headed south. And I was going to stop him it was an interdiction stop.
Really?
Yeah.
So out of everybody coming south, you was like, hey, that looks like, I mean, come on. Yeah, that looks like a good one.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah, he gave me all the indicators when he went by. So I was thinking, yeah, that's probably somebody I need to check. And they were working on the bridge right there. So they had the interstate down to 45. So you had probable cause on anybody that come through. And nobody was doing 45 coming down through there. But that was one of the coolest moves I ever seen, and he was a driving son of a gun. But that was back before a lot of your laws were in place and
Right.
a lot of your liability and your Supreme Court opinions and rules and all that stuff. A lot of that.
And that's back when you had to know how to drive because, but these guys that's running from the police these days, come on. I mean, they've been playing Grand Theft Auto. They ain't been on no back roads in Lawrence County or Wayne County. They don't know how to drive. Unless it's on blacktop, pursuits these days really don't last as long as they probably did back in the day. But can you imagine? Because Doc, if I'm not mistaken, from what my dad said, Doc started in the 60s like him. So to go through 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and he was there in 2004 because, see, that was when, if you didn't know somebody politically around this area or somebody didn't die, it was actually hard to get into the law enforcement business.
Oh, sure it was.
It was. Over 200 applications when I applied. It was hard. So, a young man that put himself through the academy, one of the first places that I thought was, Ardmore. Dad said, go down there and talk to Doc. Well, I roll in down there, and he's got ketchup stain on his white, on his white police shirt and everything. And I took a ride with him, and we talked things over, and I had somebody ask me, well, what did his floorboard look like? And I just thought that was the dumbest question I've ever been asked. I was like, what do you mean his floorboard? They was like, what did his floorboard look like? I'm like, well, I mean, I don't remember. And they were telling me that, because Doc chewed, and he would never spit out of the car because it would always splash up on the car. So he'd just spit in the floorboard. And I'm like, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't, I never noticed that, but yeah,
he would trash your vehicle. I went down there. Mike Reisner, the director at the time, said, I need you to go down there and get with Doc. He wants to show you some problem areas he's got in his city. So I went down there and I met him, went in there in his office, talked to him for a few minutes. One of the funniest things he did, he was on the phone, and his desk phone, and as I came in, he looked at me and he kind of nodded. And it was just, I don't know why you remember certain things, but I remembered this because whoever he had on the phone, when I walked in, he said, all right, I'll be talking to you later. You have a good day. And he hung up before he ever even finished it up. It's like he just faded out. He said, come on. He said, I'll jump in with you. And, I was so proud. I had that new Crown Vic. I kept it spotless, man. I mean, it was spotless. And he got in there and he got a dip of Copenhagen, plain Copenhagen. And I think about a quarter of the can went in the seat and down his uniform,
right.
And he knocked it off. And I rolled down the window for him because he said, "Will you roll down the window for me?" And he would spit, but he never would really put a lot of effort in getting it out the window. He just kind of leaned that way.
Just kind of talk in that direction.
And it would go. And after I dropped him off, I got back to the task force office and I got some spray and some cleaner and got it all cleaned up and everything. But he was such a good dude. I mean, he was a heck of a driver. What else we got we need to talk about? We're about out of time.
That's any crazy calls this week? I know y'all had some.
Well, we had one earlier, and I'm waiting on a report for it because it was going on when I first got here, and I think it was some guy that we've dealt with before. He was I don't know if whoever, it's aunt or grandmother or mother or somebody in this house. He was given a hard time, and then we got called down there and run him off, and I think he came back, so we went down there to arrest him. Then he took off in the woods. But I could hear my deputies on foot down there, I could hear them saying, well, I'm in this wood line over here, and I'm going this way, and the other one say, well, I'm down here in the backyard, and I'll come to your direction. And then I heard somebody say, well, so-and-so's got him in custody or whatever. And then a few minutes later, I heard the one deputy come over and he said, dispatch, note on the log that this individual is hitting his head in the back of the cage. And so he must not have done too much damage because they brought him to jail. And and I heard the deputies check out, and they said notify the jail staff. So I'm sure they probably had to wrestle him out and
He got put in the naughty chair.
put him in that naughty chair and wheeled him into the drunk tank.
Can't do it. I'm telling you.
I'm kind of anxious to look at that body camera footage because it's probably going to be fairly comical.
So I think we need to have some body camera.
So we were talking about that.
Have a screen where we can play videos and, to our online and our YouTube, observers.
We were discussing that earlier, and we're working on that. I'd like to see that too. I think it would be a little bit more interesting. I would like to sit down and go over, because it seems like every week there's something else going on, and there's some kind of new body camera footage or dash cam footage or some kind of security cam footage of deputies or officers or something trying to effect an arrest or something. Not that I think me and you are better than anybody else, but to sit down and go over some of these and kind of critique them a little bit, and maybe tell so the goal would be for the people watching us would be able to see what we're seeing on a split screen, see us while we're discussing what is going on the video that we're watching. And that way we can kind of maybe enlighten some people on why we do what we do, and why we handle situations the way we do, and how we shouldn't handle situations like we sometimes see. But yeah, so I think that's something
it is, because
work on.
we don't have as many followers as Joe Rogan. We're getting there. We're steadily climbing that ladder. But I think that would be great, because like you said, a lot of times when the public sees law enforcement action, just because it don't look good, doesn't mean that there wasn't a justifiable or lawful reason for it. And to flip that coin, I have no problem, showing or observing a video and critiquing that something that an officer shouldn't have done. Whenever we were in the academy, cops, I'm talking old school cops, like from the mid 80s and early 90s.
What you gonna do?
Yeah. I can't tell you the first time at the academy they showed us a cops video and was like, this is what you should do. It was usually like, okay, guys and gals, this is what you don't do on a domestic. And then they played us, a cops video. I think that'd be amazing. And I think our people would love that.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is laws are different in different states.
Right.
You might see, and I watched it all during some of the ICE riots in L.A. and different states across the country. How the law enforcement handle some of it. Some of the more liberal areas just let them do whatever. Just let them destroy property, vandalize property, assault people. They just kind of let them have free run. And then you have some areas that are more like us, more conservative, that say, you throw one object, you vandalize one piece of property, you threaten anybody, you will go to jail. You can peacefully protest all you want, but the second you commit a criminal act, then you're going to go to jail.
I don't think it was Grady. Who was the sheriff in Florida that said, if you do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to call your family and tell them where to pick up your remains?
That was one of those. It was one of those Florida sheriffs. Sometimes I think those Florida sheriffs are in competition to see who can out talk the other, who can sound the coolest or whatever. I'm not a man of many words. I believe in actions more than I do of words. That's true, man.
How many for somebody who has as many stories as you do, you're not a man of many words.
Well, I'm not a guy that's going to stand up there and say, "Well, you do this, we're going to do that," and blah blah blah. I was taught.
You're more after the fact.
I was taught you never show your whole cards.
Right.
Never show your whole cards. Never let anybody know what you're thinking. Let them find out after.
Fine.
Let them find out after. All right, we're about ready to wrap this up. What you got the rest of this week?
I don't know. Went to the dentist today. I gotta
For therapy?
For therapy.
Is that what you said?
Hey, I'm telling you, you ought to try this. And I know we're almost out of time. But schedule a dentist appointment, pay for the dentist appointment. When you get in there, say, Doc, let's talk about you today. Hey, I ain't paid for a cleaning in 6 years. Say bye.
All right, we're gone. See you next time.